Hello, everybody. My name is Neil Kongstrong, and I have a bunch of tickers that Clerk was wanting me to go over, and there was so many that I decided to just make a video because I just thought that would be a little bit easier. I'm going to start with Ethereum because I just feel like I like to look at Ethereum first since a lot of these tokens are based on Ethereum. And we're looking at the daily here. So the story hasn't changed all that much since I last talked about Ethereum. We've got this trend line on the daily, where we're clearly in an uptrend. Bulls are strong. We've now also clearly kind of established a range of trading and closed well above the previous all-time high. So that means that we don't actually have any resistance levels. So that can sometimes allow the bulls to really get a lot of traction because the bears don't have as many clear resistance levels to kind of push the price down. And you could also, if you ignore this one kind of big candle here, you can kind of see this as a channel as well. This line is from the 4-hour chart, and I'll show you that in a second. So you could look at this also as a channel, which can be helpful in terms of just, seeing likely places that the price will reject and likely places that the price will bounce. And I'm going to zoom into the 4-hour because I feel like it gives you a little bit of a better idea of just some of the levels that we want to be watching. So we do have a slightly steeper trend line here on the 4-hour. And you can see that, the price has kind of bounced off of it here. For the bears, because clearly things are stronger for the bulls right now, but for the bears, the first thing that you want to watch for is a break of this trend line here, and then we also want to look at things like this 44.21 support. Breaking that is an important step for the bears, and then of course breaking the 41.50 support and breaking this daily trend line as well. Those are all steps that the bears have to take in order to kind of get a foothold and reverse the trend. You can see that there's a clear kind of pullback here. And actually if you consider this 44.55 as a higher low than 44.21 as a lower low, but I'm not really considering 44.55 as a higher low. I'm looking at 41.50 as a higher low and then 44.21 as a higher low. So anyways, overall, I would say, bulls are still in control. We really have no reason to doubt the bulls right now because, they're continuing the uptrend. We don't see a lot of red flags. There's still some room to run on the RSI. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to start predicting any kind of pullback or reversal until we see some clear signals of some kind of pullback or reversal. So now I'm going to get into some of this other stuff that that I was asked to cover. So this one, SUSHI, let me go to this other chart where I have a chart that I was using for SUSHI in the past, and I have some lines from that chart. So here is my previous SUSHI chart, and what I was talking about last time, and this is still fairly true, though it kind of seems like the bull flag that I was talking about got negated. So I was talking about this ascending triangle where you have a price level that is sort of like a high price level where the price keeps rejecting from that level, and a lower, like a price uptrend line where you have the lows getting higher and higher. And as the ascending triangle usually is what's called a continuation pattern. So in this case, when you have this uptrend line, you normally will break bullish. And we did actually break out of this pattern. But if you look at the daily, I was seeing this price action here, the big break above, the pullback, and then the continuation as a bull flag, and was thinking that it would likely go higher. but then, the bears actually rejected from this big green candle around like 1345. And now we're back down to this line. And it's interesting that if you look at the 4-hour, you can actually see that this line that was previously serving as the top of the ascending triangle is now a support that, bulls keep buying at that level. And we're back down to that level again. If we can bounce, then we have the possibility of going higher. If this line gets broken, we might see a flush to the downside. We might hit some of these other, previous resistances as support. And the next sort of big test that for the bears is going to be this downtrend line or this uptrend line. So if we can break this line and go all the way down to the uptrend line, that's like a really big test to see if the bulls are kind of going to step in and try to save the day. So I would say that, as we broke above this line, I was bullish on sushi overall. I am less bullish on sushi now because after we got this continuation, we got a pullback that was stronger than I was expecting. However, we could still bounce off of this line and go higher. So this is an important test. I would say, if I were in a trade, and of course, none of this is financial advice, so please do your own research and such. But if I were long sushi, I would probably exit if we broke this line bearish. Because then, once we break that line, I want to know, are bulls going to, fight back and break back above that line? Are we going to go all the way to the uptrend line and then bounce? So I would want to exit, not have a lot of exposure until I figure out sort of what's going on, because I've already sort of been surprised by the strength of this pullback. So if, the bears get follow through, that's when I'm going to probably exit my longs. Okay, so next we're going to move on to sand. So sand has just had a really, really strong run. And we had, this really strong bull move. Then we got a pretty big pullback, but not a big pullback, but we got a little bit of consolidation and then continuation. So this is our bull flag right here, this little guy. And, then we continued with maybe not a bigger move, but we continued to the upside and then got another pullback. And now we're kind of in this state where the way I see it is I don't want to be predicting exactly when we are going to bounce or if we're going to bounce. I want to be essentially waiting to see, when the bulls step in. You can, one thing you can use to kind of help, though it's just one of many tools, is you can use fib retracements to get an idea of likely levels where we might bounce. So for example, we might bounce at 0.382 level, we might bounce at the 0.5 level, and this area, the 0.618 to 0.65, which is known as the golden pocket, is a place where a lot of reversals and price action can occur. But this is just one guideline. You want to use this along with other indicators to get a good idea of, what's happening. And right now, for me, if I'm, thinking about buying sand, I'm probably going to take profits here, and if I got in really early, like if I got in, somewhere down in this first leg of the bull move, then I probably will take partial profit and then kind of wait to see what happens. If I got in later, I'm probably going to take profit and just, close my position. And then I'm going to be waiting to see what the bulls do, because here we obviously got a huge move. We needed consolidation. We're getting consolidation. And now, I'm waiting to see what the bulls do. Are they going to jump in at that, 0.382 level and just bounce really quickly and continue higher? Are they going to, are the bears going to push way down to like 0.5 or down to the golden pocket of this fib retracement? I don't really know, and we don't have tons of indications of what will happen. All we really know is that, this move to the upside was really bullish. But it was so bullish that, obviously we're going to need continuation. And so I'm personally looking at this and I'm wanting to basically wait and see when the bulls step in. And when I see the bulls stepping in, then I may say, okay, this looks like a good long entry because the bulls seem like they're kind of gaining a foothold and they're really bouncing. Until then, I want to be, I don't want to be exposed long when we're pulling back. I want to take my profits and then wait and see, okay, when should I get back in? Or, how strong is this pullback? And let's see, take a look really quick at the 4 hour. So I'm going to see if it improves at all if I use the candle bodies instead of the, it looks about the same. So yeah, I mean, one thing that I do see on the 4 hour chart is if we, try to draw a trend line connecting some of these lows, and I don't know if it doesn't really like connect down below, but if we just connect a couple of these lows, then we can see that we've got the uptrend line break, which is not surprising because, we ran really hard. We're pulling back now. So there's not much new to this 4 hour chart. It's a similar story. It's just a little more detailed. All right, now we're going to look at Solana, Solana. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Let's look at the daily first. I find the daily kind of to be like a good, it's a good starting point in my opinion. So at some point I must have looked at this in the past. I think someone asked me to do some analysis of this, and I think that I posted it on Twitter. And what I noticed at the time is that we had I think I was seeing this as a falling wedge, which a falling wedge is kind of like a descending triangle, except that instead of there being just this flat price level that is consistent on one side and then an increasing or decreasing price level on the other side, this time you have both sides kind of tightening, but you have an overall direction. So in this case, like the wedge is going downward more than it's going upward. And usually a descending wedge will break bullish. So, it looks like this played out pretty much as expected. You've got the wedge tightening as we bounce between these two lines. And then we get the breakout, and the breakout is really strong. We are getting a huge move to the upside. This is probably a weekly bull flag here, and then continuation. And now we're like more or less trading sideways on the daily. You could also look at this as, there's not like a lot of, there's not nearly as many kind of touches on this pattern. So it's harder to make something of this, of these like trend lines. But, this is definitely more sideways, I would say. That like I'm seeing this action as more like sideways action than like pure bull action, even though, technically it is kind of like the price is going up. We are setting this is a higher high here, higher low, higher high, higher low, so on and so forth. You could potentially look at this as like a rising wedge, which is, like a falling wedge, except that it tends to break in the opposite direction. So it tends to break bearish. So just like seeing this, I'm feeling more bearish than bullish, I think. It's either way is possible, and these wedge and triangle patterns can break either way. If we look at the weekly, it is definitely instructive because first of all, we can see that like we got this gigantic move, and this is essentially kind of like a bull flag, really. And then we got this really strong continuation. Now we're kind of like, we traded sideways a little bit. We went a little bit higher, but you can see that like, I don't know, I suppose we could go higher because, this could just be like another bull flag, but I tend to see this as starting to get overextended because we have, run so hard, then had the bull flag, and then run really hard again. I feel like it's going to be hard to get as strong of a move to the upside as we did this last little bull move. I I could be wrong. I'm sometimes surprised by crypto being as sort of strong as it is. But to me, I'm like very, very happy to be taking profits here. If I, got in like before this move or before this move, I think at this point I would be kind of, probably selling a part of my position and waiting to see what happens. We have, cooled off RSI a decent bit on the weekly, so that's good. So yeah, I think if I'm in a long position now, I want to be probably taking partial profit and waiting for the rest. And then if we break maybe this 115 level, that's probably when I would just exit my position, because that would tell me that we're more likely than not going to get a larger pullback, like, maybe something bigger on the weekly. But yeah, I mean, this we've gotten these like incredible moves. For me, seeing the price action, I would be hesitant to enter long here because we've been running so hard. I would be more inclined to wait for a pullback. And if it looks like we're getting something similar to what we've gotten in the past, which is these kind of weaker pullbacks followed by really, really strong, bull moves, then in that case, I would be kind of scouting a bull entry after we get some good consolidation, especially if I'm seeing that the bulls are, defending the price levels and the bulls are still active and we're not just getting like a huge, weekly pullback. So yeah, overall, I guess I would be happy to be like taking profits around here, and I would be hesitant to enter along, I think. So we've got AXS USDT. So this is the AXS token. Let's see here. So, okay, so I'm not sure, I'm not sure if this is like the best uptrend line to draw, but I think it's instructive because we can see that, we got some really strong bull action up here, and then we kind of traded sideways for a little while. We bounced off this trend line, or we established a trend line basically with this low. And then now we're trading sideways again, and we are breaking that uptrend line, which suggests that maybe the bull move is weakening a little bit. Overall, I mean, this chart is looking pretty bullish, or at least it has been bullish up to this point. Though the daily is a little bit of a weird time frame on this one. I kind of want to go to the weekly. I think that's going to be clearer in terms of like the longer term trends. So let's see. Let me redraw my line here. So, one thing to keep in mind is with these lines, like this line, for example, is really only, it doesn't have a lot of places where the price touches the line. So it's not a super reliable line. I think here, what's probably more instructive is to, let's like turning on the 12 and 6 EMAs, and, just kind of seeing the strength of these moves. They get like, we've got this really, really strong move, and then it kind of starts to like peter out and pull back, and then we get a little bit more continuation. But you can see overall that it has this kind of like really strong beginning, and then it kind of starts to peter out. And even though we got this little bit of continuation, we're overall just losing some momentum here. So for me, I'm feeling like the strength of the bull move that we had, back in June is we don't have that level of strength anymore. And that doesn't mean that we can't continue higher, but here I'm thinking about probably taking some profits if I've gotten in early, and I'm probably not wanting to enter here just because I'm just not seeing the same kind of strength that we did. And if we did start to see that kind of strength, we could always, you could always buy into that strength. Let's see. Also want to look at just the monthly. So yeah, I mean, the monthly, I think this is actually sometimes going all the way out to the monthly can be really helpful. And this kind of further supports the idea that I had that I don't really want to be opening a new long position here, because we've essentially gotten this, very, very strong bull move, bull flag, and continuation. We see that things are petering out a little bit. Where the momentum is slowing, which you can see like on the weekly, for example. You can see that kind of like we're starting to trade sideways a little bit. This one candle of continuation is a nice weekly move, but when we compare it to these like months here where we're getting just insane gains, you can see it's petering out a little bit. So I'm now wanting to be taking profits. I want to be flat and kind of scouting a new entry. I don't want to be getting in long here when we've been just running so incredibly strong. And if we pull back and then the bulls go crazy again, there will be plenty of signs of that. And you can see here that after this gigantic candle, for example, you've got plenty of upside. Even if you miss this whole candle, or if you miss this candle, you've still got, these 3 months of upside. So, you might miss a little bit, but I think that it's better to see that something is see the signs of the bull strength and then get in and ride it the rest of the way, than try to predict the bull strength, because, sometimes you're wrong and you actually end up losing a lot of money predicting like when things are going to get bullish. Instead, you should see that things are bullish and then enter with the idea that that momentum is going to carry you into some good profit. That's my opinion anyway. So now let's look at YGG. Oh, wow, this is a pretty new-ish. Well, let's see, how far back does this go? Is this really that new? I don't know if this is the right chart. Let's see, YGG. Yeah, Yield Guild Games. Maybe I'll okay, well, this is a little bit more price action, but not too much more. Okay, so Yield Guild Games. It's been pretty volatile. Without like drawing any lines or anything, I can see that it's sort of like, it's kind of just been trading sideways, really. I mean, we are really zigzagging a lot, and we're not seeing a lot of like clear movement up or down. We're kind of basically bouncing between this range of, I don't know, I guess 4.7 or so up to around $8. So yeah, this is interesting. It's hard to really know like what to say about like entries and exits here, because there's not like a super clear sign of like what to expect next. There are moments where, like, for example, here you can see that we have a downtrend line that gets broken, and that gets good continuation here. It doesn't, it gets that one good like day of continuation, and then it goes sideways again. So even when you do get, a line established and then break that line, it's still a bit hard to get really good profit out of that, because we just have overall like a sideways kind of trading. So let's see, what about the weekly? What's going on in the weekly? So yeah, weekly is just like, there's not a lot of data here. You can see that the really big wicks are a sign of just a lot of volatility, and a lot of like fighting back and forth between the bulls and the bears. Okay, 4 hour maybe gives a little bit better of an idea in terms of things like trend lines, but even then it's still just, the price action is very all over the place. Like here we have really mainly 2 touches, so it's hard to say if this is a trend line that has been broken, or maybe the trend line is actually shallower than I thought. So yeah, I wish I had more to say about this chart, but honestly, it just feels like this is a very volatile chart. So, I could see someone trying to trade it on shorter term timeframes, where you can you have like a better idea of you know, but you have clearer patterns essentially. So like, you know, you can see more clearly that there's like, you know, a small uptrend here, and then we drop back near the like 6.11 level and then bounce, and now we're trading sideways. But really it's like on all of these time frames, there's not as many clear opportunities for like a profitable trade, you know. It's just because I think it's volatile enough and there's enough sideways trading that it can be really hard to find good entries on stuff like this. So I don't know, for right now with YGG, I'm thinking, well, maybe you could try something like Uniswap V3, where the sideways trading is going to lead to you collecting a lot of fees. You know, I'm not seeing like a clear entry point. I'm not seeing like a clear trend, and it honestly just feels like, you know, a clear like there's still this ticker is still kind of getting established in terms of the price action. So finally we have Mana USD. Wow, that is a crazy candle right there. Let's just look at this candle. Okay, that is a 75% move in a day. That's pretty crazy. Okay, so Mana. I mean, you know, there's other like price action earlier that may be worth commenting on. Like, you know, we've got some like kind of classic stuff like this trend line gets broken and gets a little continuation. And then, you know, and that also kind of signals the reversal, and we go into like a pretty shallow uptrend there. But, you know, obviously this stands out like a sore thumb. You have just this enormous daily move. I mean, congrats to anyone who got in on this. I would say that if you, the way to see this entry would probably be to just look at the sort of like tightening range here that we were getting. You can kind of see that essentially the range was getting tighter, and especially like right here at the end. Maybe I can draw better lines here. Right here at the end, you know, you could kind of look at it this way. It's a little tricky because we actually got sort of a fake out here, where it looked like we were going to break bearish, and then we wicked back up and then just launched this insane bull move. But, you know, it's not the easiest move to see here, and I don't know if there's news behind this or something, but you can at least see that the trading range is getting really tight right before this red candle and then this huge, you know, move to the upside. But now that we've gotten that move to the upside, you know, once again, we can look at our fib retracement for a little bit of help. So actually this is, you know, you can see that this 0.5 level got a little bit of play. Like, you know, we've got wicks below that. So, you know, that means that bulls were buying below that level. And then, you know, we have a touch of this 0.618 level, which is, you know, and this being the golden pocket. So that's something you can use to gain some idea of, you know, when things might bounce. But of course, you want to be doing that in conjunction with other signals. And we also have a bit of like a downtrend line forming. So a clear break of the downtrend line could be something to watch for. It's hard to say, you know, when you have a move that big, maybe that means that you've overextended and you're going to get a really big bear move, or maybe it means that the bulls are just that strong and that this is just a bull flag waiting to happen. Because if we look at the weekly, you can see that, you know, right now this red candle is still within the realm of like being a bull flag. You know, we could just get a move even higher. I'm inclined to believe that if we get continuation, that it's not going to be as impressive as this crazy, crazy candle right here. It's possible, but it's just, there's only so much buying you can do before you run out of money and run out of buyers. So yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of my sentiments for a lot of these tickers are similar because the market is correlated to a certain degree. So to me, once again, I'm thinking like, if I got in earlier, like I would love to be taking some profits here. And given how strong the bulls have been and the fact that this weekly candle is still, within the realm of being like a bull flag, I would probably, if I got in early, I'd probably sell half or sell some portion and then hold on to see how this plays out. And if bulls are kind of hanging on and then we can get continuation, then I'm going to be looking to sell after that second leg up. If I got in, I would not personally buy in here because yes, maybe we'll get a bull flag, but on the other hand, maybe we'll dump lower or maybe we'll get some continuation, but then, we'll just reject shortly after that and it won't be nearly as profitable as the previous big candle. So that's kind of my feeling about it. I think that is all of I think those are all the ones that specifically Clerk asked for. I'm going to try to do more of the tickers that people are requesting in the request thread. Definitely have patience. There might be times where I just can't get to all of it. And I do think I'm going to try doing this video style more because it's just a little bit easier for me to do this. I can just basically sit and kind of think out loud on video, as opposed to, having to write everything down and collect all the chart images and stuff. Definitely let me know, what you want to see more of, if there's things you don't understand, if there's things that, you just think could be improved about the format. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it.